This is Danny Stygion, and in today's video I want to go over 5 reasons why your photos might suck if you're just starting out as a fetish photographer. And I want to start off by saying that I'm guilty of all the things that I'm about to talk about. I've done them from time to time, and I hope that you'll learn from some of my mistakes. First thing I want to talk about is photographing your subject against a boring or uninteresting backdrop, or photoshopping in poor backdrops. For example, there's a correct way and a wrong way to photograph a model against a clean white backdrop. The right way to do it would be to use white seamless paper and to use high key lighting. And the wrong way to do it is to use like a wrinkled bed sheet or a piece of fabric, to use flat 2-dimensional lighting where you see all the wrinkles and shadows behind the subject. And I've done this before. And also, I'm not a big fan of photographers who Photoshop in backdrops behind the model. Some people can do this well, where they Photoshop a mansion or interesting piece of architecture behind the model, and it looks pretty seamless. Then there's others that'll put like a forest behind the model or a giant fire, and you can tell that the photo shoot wasn't done on location, and it just kind of pulls you out of the photo. I don't think this is a good look. The next thing I want to talk about is bad wardrobe and poor use of wardrobe in the context of a photo. So I receive a lot of photo submissions for Cynical magazine, and some of these photo sets, the model will be wearing cheap lingerie, or they'll have 90% of a really good outfit, but then they'll have a cheap sports bra on, which ruins the whole photo set. So I think a lot of attention needs to be paid towards the wardrobe the model is wearing. It's a very important aspect of a photo. And also the context of a photo. If you are photographing a dominatrix or someone portraying themselves as a dominatrix, and this person is wearing a collar around their neck, this doesn't work in the context of the photo where you're trying to show a dominant theme. And I understand some people are switches and they're submissive and dominant, but I think you should focus on one theme for that particular photo and photo set. If you want to show that person as being submissive, then you should have a whole submissive outfit and theme going for that photo. And I see this a lot actually, which is why I'm mentioning it. The next reason why your photo might suck is just bad framing and composition, or unflattering angles of the photo subject. You want to make sure you're using negative space correctly, and also that you're not cutting off or cropping off body parts. When it comes to the framing, if you're trying to show the whole body, you want to cut off the person's feet or an arm, which can be tricky because sometimes you have no choice because of the angle of the photo. But these things are what you want to pay attention to. And the fourth thing I want to talk about is lighting, just bad lighting. You want to make sure there's not too many shadows. If you're doing a fetish, fashion, glamour shoot, you don't want to light the model from above and then have all these shadows, especially under the eyes. You want to have good lighting. The last thing I want to talk about is bad use of props, or just bad props. If you're photographing a dominatrix again, for example, a riding crop or a whip would make sense as a prop. But I've received some photo sets where the model will be playing with like raw meat or ground beef, and she's trying to be seductive, but this isn't attractive, and it just kind of comes off as gross. So keep in mind the props that your model is using. And also, I'm not a big fan of models that pose with firearms or weapons like a paddle axe. I think it kind of comes off as looking amateurish, and I've done this before, so I am guilty of it. But I think you should try to keep away from weapons when you're shooting, at least fetish photography. One thing I also want to mention is to make sure that the outfit matches the location. So if you're photographing someone who's wearing like a fetish nun outfit, for example, you probably want to have some religious scenery or items behind your model. You don't want to photograph this person in a parking garage. And also, if the person's wearing a latex nurse outfit, look for a medical room or something that would make sense for that outfit. Don't shoot that person out in the woods. These are just a few things that you should keep in mind when just starting off as a photographer. Try and make your photos better. Try not to commit these sins.